And we're back. You both got the quest from him, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Talk to him in the Vault of Ice.
Yep.
Don't know why we can't talk to him out here.
It's not
Since
in the
we're
Vault of
all
Ice.
He only feels alive when he's freezing to death.
Seems like. You guys in?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm very tempted to just start going off on socialism now.
Difficult mission. Welcome, oh mighty wizard. If you seek the keeper of the Fang,
We gotta
you must
defeat things about the Fang.
defender, the guardian. But wait,
If you do, go ahead, but
cunning is
I only have like one thing I want to throw in if you do.
Mm.
welcome, oh
Oh.
but wait.
I don't know. It's Joe's series. So you want me to start talking about socialism?
Go ahead. It'll fill the hole.
Okay, well, mind if I throw out my thing?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Government and nations are an inherently socialist thing.
Yes.
It's the people coming together to, you know, find a way to govern themselves and others.
Mm-hmm.
If there was no kind of like social contract, then yes, society would break down. It's an inherently social thing.
Oh my god!
You can't argue. Wow, she grabbed
Alright,
us from far away.
Yeah. I was trying to check something else out, and it's like, nope, we're on now.
But yeah, no, it's an inherently social thing, and you can't divorce that from that, because taking the social part out basically causes it to not function anymore.
So just to clarify, by social, do you mean socialist or do you mean just in a society?
Well, I mean, like, most people would probably say I mean it in a society kind of way, but I would still argue that, in a way, a society is an inherently socialist thing, because it's everyone having to come together to agree that, like, these are the rules we will abide by. These are the people who are allowed to, that we allow to enforce the rules and make new rules and to make all of these decisions and stuff. If that goes away, if everyone's like, no, I'm just going to focus on myself and I don't care about anything, then the whole thing just grinds to a halt. If everyone does. Like, I'm not saying it's like a 100% socialist thing. I think, it is inherently like 5% socialist.
Yeah, I agree that it's one of those things where it's like you can't have socialism without society. You can't have socialism without a government, because socialism is the government takes care of the people. So yeah, I agree with that part.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind
Is that it, or is?
that was pretty much it.
Or are you collecting your thoughts, Paul?
It's inherently 5%.
Oh, I was waiting for Andy to finish, but I guess that's it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have like a topic to talk about with this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sick and tired of seeing socialism and socialist being used as a negative sense, because if you and I've seen this over and over, if you talk to someone and say, do you support socialism, they say, no, I'm not a communist.
That's not what.
But if you say something like, do you support healthcare for all, do you support free internet for people, do you support having firefighters that you don't have to pay for, people will always 100% say yes, and all those are inherently socialist.
People need to figure out their definitions, or get the
That's the
correct
thing.
definition.
That's the thing, is in America at least, we have a long and glorious history of about 50 years where
That's only about 150 years short of our full history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, for 50 years, the big bad enemy of our nation was quote unquote communist, which communism is the extreme of socialism, and therefore socialism is bad.
Yeah, but
Wait.
it's the extreme.
Mm.
And I'm surprised that people haven't decided to go to... I've realized that as a people, as an American people, most are very good at cherry picking.
Oh yeah.
They're very good at picking the things that they deem integral.
Worth acknowledging the existence
to-
of.
Wow.
That and integral to their belief of what their definition of America is.
Yeah,
'Cause-
I think. Yeah.
Because
Go ahead.
there's this feeling that not everyone in America is working under the same dictionary. Which I'm realizing this now because I've had the time to think about it. And it bugs the hell out of me.
I think that part is that America has fallen under the no true Scotsman rule, which is the only real definition of being an American is the one that I agree with. And anyone who does
Yeah.
not match that 100% is not a real American.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that.
And if anyone's watching this, I don't mean that in a political, if you don't believe in,
Democrats, if you don't
yeah.
believe in Republicans or the
Yeah, if you
Green
don't-
Party or
if you don't believe
Libertarians.
100% with what your along the party line, then you're not a real member of the party. It's not what I'm talking about.
No.
In that sense, what I mean is just if you don't like apple pie, you're not American, unless you don't like apple pie, in which case, and you're also an American. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Is where
I'm
the
not
where
fond of apple pie.
oh, fuck you, you're not American.
Oh, braziers. Oh my god. It's showing me a tiny version of myself.
And
That's
3
adorable.
mysteries were revealed, and I don't know what they are.
A mystery. So, the placards match up with the braziers.
Do they?
Yep.
Doesn't look like it to me.
This placard, fire. This placard, ice. This one's storm, so we gotta click it through storm.
Oh.
Puzzles.
Okay, I get it.
Color of them.
Yeah.
I was looking for symbols.
No,
No.
it was a simple 1, 2, 3 thing.
Yep.
There was 3 panels in a row, and then there were 3 braziers that, if you backed off enough, were also in the same row. The left, middle, and the right.
Okay. So sing out when you're maxed out on health.
I am maxed out on health.
Okay.
Sorry, my brother's lights are off, so I don't know if he's trying to sleep yet, but
Okay.
I gotta be quiet, so I can't full out start
Full
singing
belt out,
Barrett's
yeah.
Privateers or
Gotcha.
something. God damn them all. Just told we'd cruise the seas for American gold. We fired no
conquistadors.
guns, we shed no tears. I'm a broken man on a Halifax pier. The last of Barrett's privateers. Didn't we already beat her?
Yeah, I think we kicked her ass.
This is the This is the Guardian.
Okay.
The first one was, I think, the Defender or the Protector. I can't recall.
Pretty sure we kicked her ass.
We've kicked someone's ass.
I will clarify. They're all the same model. They are not the same title.
Fair enough. Hey, look, it's that spell I never get to use.
Can't wait for you to not get to use it here.
Yeah, me too.
Choose a spell.
Whatever.
Yeah, I guess that's been my socialism TED talk because I don't have anything to talk about now.
What do you think of Crusader Kings 3?
I like it. It's good. It stripped out a lot of the BS that crept into Crusader Kings 2.
Okay.
Because as much as I love Crusader Kings 2, one of my favorite games, but man, there were a lot of systems that got put on top of each other, and not all of them liked each other.
Well, I think a part of that may have come from how they did the DLC, because they couldn't really interlink the systems that much, because if you didn't have one DLC but you had another, then you were missing features.
Mm-hmm.
That was exactly it.
Which is basically the same sort of problem with EU4. And to a lesser degree, Stellaris.
Yeah, well, that's Paradox's business model. That's kind of
Yeah.
expected. They tend to do DLC that is more wide than tall, if that makes any sense.
No.
So
I would say it depends more on the game, really.
what I mean is that they don't do like the Age of Empires model where everyone plays by the same rules. You just expand the number of options. Paradox goes by the model of DLC adds mechanics that are inherently different from the base game.
Okay.
So, instead of saying, "Oh, we added in,"
You can play as the Scots now.
Yeah. Instead of saying, "Oh, we've added in Scotland, they have bonuses to these stats," they say, "We've decided that you can now play as a republic instead of a monarchy, and that has a completely different set of rules. But you can only play as them if you have this DLC."
Okay.
Which I personally I know Paradox gets a lot of flack for their DLC policy. I personally prefer this method to the way that most companies do it, which is either having like a bunch of DLC that do basically nothing, or having giant DLC where you're basically buying another game.
Okay, I gotta say this now before I forget it. So what you're saying in terms of making it to be more wide than tall, they're lengthening the content instead of deepening it.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah. Like
In the sense of they're adding
I
more.
would disagree with that.
I mean, it's just how my interpretation is of it. It sounds like what he's saying is that they're adding more mechanics instead of finding. I don't know. I don't play Paradox games. There's a reason why.
They're taking the mechanics that exist, and they usually tend to alter stuff. Usually. I would say Stellaris is probably the closest they've really gotten to kind of more traditional DLC. But even still, okay, for example, EU4 Mare Nostrum was the DLC that you went to if you wanted more naval combat, because when that came out, that was basically the big naval overhaul, and I think there was also a lot of trading changes and stuff in there too.
Cast.
But they basically took all of the naval mechanics they had, and I don't think like anything didn't at least get altered, and a lot of stuff got straight up changed.
Okay.
Like the trading system drastically changed. How you can interact with your ships drastically changed. I don't know. The other one I can think of is Rights of Man, which just straight up added a few systems that if you don't have the DLC, then you just straight up can't use.
Yeah, I think that's the point, is that Paradox adds systems rather than variations.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
I'm gonna get Andy to cast a spell if it kills me.
I was expecting it to fizzle after you said that.
I was half expecting it to as well.
Yeah.
It's like I wouldn't put it past the game to not do that.
Yeah, I like Paradox. I really do. They put a lot of time and effort in trying to make their games as the best that they can. I generally like their DLC policy a little more, but I have to admit I also have some qualms about it, because when there's a Reddit post of what is the essential EU4 DLC to have to best enjoy the game, I feel like that's something that you need to at least be aware of before you even jump into EU4. Because a lot of the time those mechanics that you don't get unless you pay for the DLC can drastically alter how you play the game. And I know for me personally, I really enjoyed playing EU4, but then the more I fell behind in the DLC and the more mechanics I was seeing all the other LPers and stuff play with that I didn't get because I wasn't buying the DLC because I didn't have a job, didn't have the money, I felt like I couldn't play EU4 because I wasn't playing the correct version of it. The version that has all of the effort Paradox put in. I wasn't having fun playing it anymore. It caused me to stop playing the game. Granted, that could be more of a personal thing myself, but
Ow.
that was I know that was something that makes it hard for me to get back into EU4 and is a part of why I have some qualms about Paradox, but I will agree. Again, I like Paradox. They put a lot of time and effort in trying to make their games as great as they can. And the way they do DLC reflects that, because all of their not everything they do every DLC gets locked behind a paywall. There's always like a free patch that comes with the game that alters certain systems and stuff. It's usually just like some additional extra stuff that gets locked behind, but a lot of time that additional extra stuff can be almost critically important to how you play the game. And that's where I feel like there's some issues. Yeah, I don't know. It's complicated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the way I look at it is, and granted, I am one of those people who, when Paradox announces a new DLC for one of their games, it goes on my wish list immediately, and I buy it within the first week that it comes out. So, I am not unbiased. I am a Paradox fanboy, but at the same time, like, I'm also one of those people who reads the entire changelog whenever they do a major patch or when they do a DLC. And man, they do a lot. Like they are working really hard on these things. And like Crusader Kings 2 was maintained for something like 15 years, 10, 15 years, something like that.
I'll look it up. But that does sound about right.
Yeah, which is an insane amount of time for a modern AAA game to exist. Like the idea of maintaining a game for
About
more
8
than
years.
yeah. So the
'Cause-
idea of maintaining a game for more than 5 years is like you don't get companies that do that unless they're making constant money off of it.
Yeah.
Which it could be argued that Paradox is with all the DLC releases,
Oh, they absolutely are.
which is
Like
a
that,
part of why they're able to continuously maintain.
yeah,
But
that's my point. Is that
I wouldn't.
hmm?
Sorry, this is probably a bit of a petty squabble, but I wouldn't say maintain. They don't maintain the games. They continuously develop them.
Hmm.
Because if you ask me, maintaining would just be like bug fixes, minor balance adjustments. They like straight up go in and like the game that Crusader Kings 2 was at the very end was not the game that came out
Hmm.
when it first launched.
Oh, absolutely.
They
Mhm.
were different beasts.
Hmm. Yeah. So I guess continuous development is a better way to put it. Because yeah, that's really what you're paying for when you get into a Paradox Grand Strategy game, at least, is you're paying for a game that it will continue to exist and continue to be new for 5, 8, 10 years. And so when I look at it like that, like the difference between spending $20 on a DLC every year or 2 years versus this, the only other place where you get this kind of continuous development is in an MMO RPG with a subscription fee and expansion packs. In which case, you're going to be spending a lot more than $20 a year. And so when I look at it like that, where it's like you're spending the money to tell this company to keep working on this game that you like, that's worth it. That is worth putting money in their pockets and food on their developers' tables.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I will say, if you're getting into a Paradox Grand Strategy game from the very beginning, or if you are having your first experience with one of their games and you don't have the DLC, just play the game. If you don't like the game as it is at that time, the DLC will not fix it.
Excellent advice.
And that's kind of how I feel about anything where there are after purchases. I like anything that has microtransactions, DLC, expansion packs. If you do not like the base game as it comes at the time that you buy the game, nothing is going to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no spark there that tells you, I want to keep playing this. You're not going to get anything better than that.
Good philosophy.
I agree for the most part. Although again, because of the way Paradox does stuff. Damn it, Paradox, you make things so complicated.
Mm.
That's why I haven't played it.
It would depend on exactly what your quibbles with the game are.
Mm.
If it's like, I generally like this, but there's like a few mechanics that I think are really bad and need improvement, a DLC might actually fix that.
Well, that's like the big difference. Is like if you are saying I like this, but there is one aspect that I really want to be changed, then yeah, the DLC will fix that. But you're already going to be playing the game at that point.
Yeah, no, I was just saying like that might change, but
But if
like
you're coming in and you're saying I do not understand this game at all, I don't know why anyone would want to play this, there is no DLC that will fix that.
Hearts of Iron 3.
Yeah.
No, it's not fair. I don't know. I just couldn't get into Hearts of Iron 3.
Oh yeah,
That
because
game was so damn crunchy.
Hearts of Iron 3 and Hearts of Iron 3, Europa Universalis 3, and early Crusader Kings 2 were spreadsheet simulators. They were for the armchair generals. And then I think once they moved to EU4, they're like, all right, let's make games.
Well, to be fair, I think. Well, I know the EU series comes from a board game,
Hmm.
so I know that a lot of its depth and design generally comes from that fact. That its board game ancestry. But no, yeah, the EU4 and Hoi 4 definitely streamlined things a lot, and I feel like for me at least, they're generally more enjoyable, mostly because there's not like 600 different things I have to learn just to play the game.
Oh, yeah.
I did better with EU3, but I will admit I was garbage at that. I'm also pretty garbage at EU4. But I've always been one of those people who always wanted the ability to, like in a strategy game, finish a match in the same day I started it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I generally never played on the higher difficulties of like Alpha Centauri and stuff, because then I would have to take multiple days, and I didn't like having to jump back into something. I wanted to be able to finish that round of Alpha Centauri on the same day I started it.
That is fair.
You can't do that in EU4.
No.
Don't.
You can if you open up the game and then you close the game and you're just done. But if that's the case, then your goal is most likely, I want to take this one province.
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing that, like, Paradox games appeal to in the same way that FromSoft's games appeal to, is that they are games that you play to achieve, that encourage you to achieve a familiarity with the mechanics that edges on mastery. Like, I'm not going to say, like, in order to enjoy this game, you have to become a master of it. I'm not going to say, like, you won't like it until you get good. What I mean by that is, by playing it, you are encouraged to get better at it, to the point where you think about the game both in terms of, like, building a story and in terms of the mechanics at the same time.
So basically the old school Sega philosophy.
I guess. I mean, that's a generation of games that I'm not as familiar with, so.
This is mostly something I gleaned from Shay May, but like a lot of the older Sega games were kind of weird, a little abstract, and a little simple on the surface. But like the more you kind of dug into them and the better you got, you know, they were kind of focused more around the enjoyment from them kind of came more from mastering the game rather than just, playing and beating it. Getting good enough to, get those high scores.
Yeah.
The really high scores.
Yeah, definitely. Like, the way that I think about it is that a Paradox game is the world's most boring, slowest speedrun. Where if you're interested in it, you're interested in it because of the skill that goes into getting good at this game. Like that's why I like watching people like
Tower. I'm gonna have to look him up. I cannot think of even how to remotely pronounce his name. Go ahead.
Yeah, like Alzabo HD and
Riemann's Paradox.
Paradox when he was making videos. I don't know if he still is.
He did a video a few months ago, I think, and then there hasn't been silence, or there hasn't been anything since.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, like those two. What's his name? The Async. Async, who does a lot of videos on Stellaris. And
Spec,
then,
you mean?
that's the one. Async does the pseudo speedrun videos. And then ISAR Productions, who does comedy videos based on the Paradox games, where they all produce similar content in that you are looking at a map the entire time, but the thing that makes them interesting to watch is that they are so familiar with the game that like they are looking at it from the viewpoint of what are the steps that I need to take in order to achieve my goal, in the same way that a chess master would look at the board and say, I have assured victory in 5 moves.
Another one to add to that is Toror.
Tim.
I had to start one of his videos. He does a lot of Hoi 4 stuff. Of, like, I think he did a world conquest as Luxembourg. Yep, there it is. Well, not world conquest, but Luxembourg annexes Germany. He does a lot of... He did stuff, challenge things like that a lot, too.
Yeah, that's why I think it's similar to speedruns, because if you're just watching like the content that's on the screen, then there's only so many times you can see someone do a level really fast and feel like it's unique. But if you're looking at from the viewpoint of, here's someone who is so familiar with the game that they're able to get through these scenarios that appear impossible from the surface, and then they achieve it with what seems to be relative ease. That's what I find fascinating, and that the game encourages you to get to that point, even if during that process you find a whole bunch of things that you get pissed off about. I'm rambling now because it's very late and I'm tired.
Joe's is probably happy he doesn't have to say anything.
I mean, I haven't had anything to add, because my experience with Paradox games is, this is Andy's or Paul's pick for recording. Let's figure out how to do it in some fashion.
Yeah.
Not that we've recorded CK2. But
Thought
if
we
you're
did.
saying that... Huh?
Tried to do multiplayer once.
Yeah, we tried.
I thought we did it for recording.
No.
Huh.
Only Paradox game we've done for recording is Hoi 4.
Okay.
So when you say that they stripped most of the gritty stuff out of CK2 and CK3, then I'm probably going to be more likely to play that, or get attached to it, or understand it.
I wouldn't... I think I'm the one that said it, and I'm going to have to call myself out. I think stripping the nitty-gritty away wasn't exactly the right way to put it. I think streamlining was better. You can do okay if you don't, pay attention to all of the nitty-gritty, but if you really want to get good, then you need to really dig in and start figuring out everything.
The best analogy that I can come up with is, again, to compare it to Dark Souls. It is the difference between playing using a great shield and taking the time to learn how to parry. Like, you can
Mhm.
absolutely play the game, like play a complete game of, say, Crusader Kings 2, just playing it as a map painting simulator and playing the war game. But learning how to play with the other mechanics makes the experience deeper and much more engaging.
It also lets you pull off ridiculous shit, like having Luxembourg annex the entire damn world.
Or getting extremely lucky in EU4 and having, or EU3 or whatever it was,
It
and
was
having
EU3, and I'm still fucking mad about this.
Korea all but inherit China.
This fighter was so great that even in his old age he was
Yep, I'm still mad about that. I'm mostly mad because you got it and I didn't.
So that one day someone would
Ah,
Too, which is incredible.
Many have tried to defeat him, but none have succeeded thus far. I think you may be
fucking personal union with Ming.
statuettes carried by the hall servants in the Champions Hall. Using these and some other things, I will be able to let you summon and challenge him.
Well, I know what we're gonna work toward next time we play this.
Getting Joe to play Crusader Kings 3.
That and
Wow,
Where is
you
it?
didn't immediately shoot it down. That's a good sign.
hey, I not 3 minutes ago I said I would be interested in it, considering what was stated earlier. But as of now, it is late. We are gonna call it here. So
Okay.
that's been Inco-Opatible doing Wizard101 with talking about games, socialism, and tongue twisters briefly. Bye.
I
We
think
have
we talked more about paradox than we did socialism.
our themes are that we have no themes.
Yep.
Our theme, no, our
Tonight's
theme
themes.
is stream of conscience.
Fucking.
Okay, go to bed, people.
Bye.
Bye.
Stone.